Side Story may be Leonard Bernstein's best-known work, but the overture to Candide is the composer personified in every note. With more and why it was chosen to launch Opera Tampa's 2025 season, our friend Robin Stamper, artistic director of the Strauss Center's Opera Tampa, and performer Cree Carrico. Welcome. And yes, also a costume too. How are you? I feel like we have to address, the large pink mannequin who has a fabulous costume. Before we get to that, so good to see you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We're always happy to be here.
So Candide, why was this one the one, Robin, that you were like, this is where we're beginning 2025?
Well, it actually sort of began with Sweeney Todd, because we kind of broke out of our traditional mold there, and it's a work that deserves to be done. It's a premiere production because we actually have built the set. We were excited about that. And it's also, just as an opera or operetta, it's an Opera Tampa first as well.
Exciting. Yeah. Cree, give us an idea of your role and, of course, being able to wear the lovely gown that is beside you today.
Yeah, so I play Cunegonde, who is Candide, the title character's love interest. And one of the things about her is that she's passed through all these different men in her time on stage, and they keep showering her with beautiful things. And so one of the things I get to do is wear all these beautiful costumes and beautiful jewels that go along with it.
Oh, that would be fun. I'm not going to lie. And correct me if I'm wrong, too. This even has some humor elements to it. Like, it makes it a very unique story. I mean, we were just comparing it, of course, West Side Story there in this one, and for the composer putting it together, the personified notes of it. Explain what that really means.
Well, the situations that they end up in could seem really tragic, but actually none of them are.
Okay.
The closest thing to a tragedy I'd say about the story is it involves Candide, who is also the title character of the Voltaire novel, who is a very innocent guy and just thinks life is good and all happiness. And then he goes through these trials and tribulations only because he falls in love with Cunegonde. But there are earthquakes, storms. There's an auto-da-fe with people getting hanged and burned and the whole bit. And yet it's still funny.
I was going to say
it is a comedy.
I think that's so interesting, and that dynamic that you just described is definitely interesting. It's one of those things too, opera. I've learned so much, and so many things that I will recognize, whether it's musically or recognize story-wise, does come back to something we've talked about, Robin. Are there songs, are there elements of the show that people will, if they haven't seen Candide yet, maybe this is a great way to kick off the new year? What would you say?
Yeah, what I love about it is that there's a lot of dialogue, there's a lot of dancing. It's really fun to be a part of.
Yeah. And
so if you're someone who's gone to a musical, this kind of opera is something that almost bridges the gap for somebody who's coming to the opera for the first time. It's certain to make you smile. There are hummable tunes. You'll be able to leave the theater singing some of the famous music from it.
Does that make it even more fun for you?
Oh, yeah. I always have a great time at Opera Tampa.
Yeah.
And this is kind of my specialty. I love to do operas that are in English and that do involve a very theatrical aspect. And so it feels like home, I always tell Robin, when I come to Tampa.
That's great to hear. That's got to make you happy to hear, Robin.
We bring Cree back because she's not just a wonderful performer, she's an amazing singer. I mean, she can dance, she can do it all.
She has it. You can just feel it.
And does it all. And it's because the range of the role is enormous.